Galvez. Most people nowadays cannot imagine dominating a half-ton animal. It brings a great sense of confidence and power to them. But how is this possible? Well, horse riding, it gives you the ability to do that. The closest representation I could find was the horse bits, which is directly what you use to dominate the horse and control it. I'll briefly explain the materials are used, and a brief history of them. These bits have a big cultural impact on me because it comes from my ancestors to me. The beliefs, it kind of drew up the plan of my ethics and morals in that aspect. Like I said, I'll explain the history of it. So I'm gonna start first with this one. It's an old school bit. It's close to 100 years now. The material used is called amso. It originates from the southern part of Mexico, Puebla, Oaxaca, places of those aspects. It's kind of difficult to work with. That's why nowadays makers moved on to stainless steel, which is these. It's less expensive, and as you can see, it's easier to make it look more luxurious as well, and add more detail to it. However, in both bits, or in all bits, a major component is copper. It's used to be engraved in the port, which is this part of the bit, and that's used to dominate the horse. It's used to allow the horse to be dominated easier so they could savor it, so the rider could have better control of it. There's only one way to use it. You place it in the horse's mouth, and depending on the training of the horse, that's the way you use it. Moving on to the impact it has on me in a cultural aspect, it's very significant because as I researched to my ancestors, to my great-grandparents, even my grandfather, the older bit, it belonged to their family, and it was passed on to me. To them, it was never seen as a luxury or a treasure. It was always seen as an everyday tool because coming from a poor family, they use horses as farm work. So they use the bits to allow them to get their work done and feed their family. Those horses were also used as a mode of transportation, which nowadays we don't really think about it, or when we do think about it, we kind of laugh or giggle because having nice cars, BMWs, such, we don't take the time to appreciate that. As for me, in my aspect, it's very significant because bits to me are a book without words. You can't really be told all the stories a bit or the adventures that occurred while horseback riding. So it allows me to escape reality for a while and go to my own fairy tale, if you could say, because it relieves stress. And while riding, you kind of experimenting, and like I said in the beginning, having control over a half-ton animal, most people kind of get scared of it, but once you get the knowledge and the training and the proper horse, it kind of becomes an easy experience, and it allows you to get a feel of what your ancestors might have felt. And to me, that's something very special. To me, one of the horse bits is it gets successful when you're able to truly dominate the horse. That's when you get the true feeling. Moving on to my conclusion, the cultural impact that horses have had, horseback riding to me, it has allowed me to not forget of who I am or where I come from. Considering that you don't need to be Mexican or American, as for that matter, to know what a horse bit is or the adventures of horseback riding, because horses weren't originally from this part from the world. They originated from Asia, Europe, on that end. So it's something that brings us all as people together, and it allows us to have a commonality for us. It allows us to see the different, as horse bits are made in different ways, depending on the population or necessities, it allows us to see different aspects of the world in one place. And that's something that I think we, as this generation, as my generation, as well as yours, should take the time to see what the adventures and the interest of horse bits and horseback riding